Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more Legacy action. Today it is our midweek meta deck slot and we are playing Pokemoki's Bug Midrange list that managed to win a challenge. This is basically just the good cards in this colour combination. People used to call arrangements like this Team America once upon a time, but that was back when you were running things like Hymn to Turak and Tarmogoyf. So we've moved a long way since then. But we have a core of good blue stuff, so we've got our Brainstorms and our Ponders and our Force of Wills and our Murktide. Only the one Murktide though, and the one Daze, so there's some interesting numbers here. We've got a couple of Tamiyo to kick things off. We've got Baleful Strix, is just a nice object that we can stick in the way of stuff, and it's just a good solid card. We've got a few Bowmasters to ping some stuff down. Our removal spells are 4 Fatal Push. We've got a Murderous Cut as well. We've got a one-of Barrowgoyf here, a one-of Kaito, a one-of Narset. Lots and lots of little one-ofs. So this is obviously a deck that's taken Pokemoki some time to get to these numbers, because you don't just start off a deck with numbers that look like this. You have to playtest it to get there. There are a couple of Stifles alongside the Life from the Loam, so we can do a little bit of Mana Denial, bring back our Wastelands, keep that going. We can also use a Stifle to get in an Uro and just start being down quicker with that. Same deal with the Dress Down, which also answers problem cards like Urza's Saga. There's a couple of Sheoldred's Edict in there as well, Witherbloom Command. So just like a whole bunch of good stuff in this colour combination. Our Surveil land is a Hedge Maze. There is no Undercity Sewers in here. In terms of the sideboard, we got some more counter spells. We got some Force, Hydroblast, Consign action. We've got ourselves a couple of Veil of Summer, Carpet Flowers, Explosives and Spell Bombs, Caracas, a little bit of Sweeper in the form of the Deluge, and a little bit of Graveyard Hate to go alongside the Nar Spell Bombs and having a Surgical. So we just kind of got like a mixture of overlapping things instead of just committing entirely to Spell Bombs. We've got some turn 0 interaction as well. Okay, that's the list. It's a bunch of good cards. Let's see if we can work out what we're drawing to at all times and plan our turns appropriately, because there are a lot of like little bits to be like, oh, I don't have an out here, but oh, actually no, I have this in my deck. This will help me out. So let's see if we can navigate this one. Please remember to like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2026. So let's see if we can get there. All right, let's just get stuck in with Pokemoki's challenge winning list. The new year is here, and what better time to clear out your unwanted cards than now? My lovely sponsors 3-for-1 Trading are buying all Magic cards and collections of any size. They will quickly appraise your collection and give you a fast, non-binding ballpark figure so you know what you're working with right away. They buy collections from anywhere in the world. You can ship them cards, arrange a courier, and they even make in-person visits for large collections to offer full peace of mind. Click the link in the description or visit 3for1.gg/sell-COW to start unloading your unwanted cards today. Okay, our opener, we got Bowmaster, a little bit of removal. Like, it's fine. It's not exciting. Our opponent is playing, they're named Grandfather Taxes with a Thalia, Guardian Thraben icon, and then also a Yorion. Seems like this card, and this card are all going to be useful, so I am going to keep this hand. Which isn't necessarily a great matchup for things like counter spells anyway, because they can have Ether Vial. Just to plains and pass. Are we playing on basics or not? Well, we don't have to make that decision. Another removal spell is exactly what we want here. We just want to remove a few creatures and then try and stick something big that they can't deal with. Obviously, they're going to have Plows and Solitudes, so dealing with things on their side is going to be viable. A Spirit Labyrinth. I haven't seen one of those for a hot minute. Am I going to Surveil here? This needs to get us a black source. I don't think we're surveilling then. Okay, so we can play on basics now. This, being a swamp, will hurt us if we're up against trying to cast our Uro and needing it to resolve. Well, we don't have a basic swamp here, do we? No, we do have. We have one snow-covered swamp. Yes, okay. So snow-covered swamp, and we should have an island and a forest in here. I will take out this island. There's no forest, actually. Is there really no forest? That's really interesting. Okay, I'll take the snow-covered island. And then we'll just get down our Bowmasters while we can. Get a nice little... Picking up with this, we're left with 2 bodies in play. It's kind of like a 3-for-1. Obviously, the ones here aren't amazing, but if they've got other 1 toughness creatures, they can have a bad time. Recruiter of the Guard. What are you going to find here? A Stoneforge Mystic. Sure, that is a-okay with me. These creatures aren't particularly useful into what our opponent's doing. They're not going to be drawing a bunch of extra cards, so I think I'm okay to send these in. We could just send one in, and then we can hold the other one back. We could also play the land first to try and bluff Kaito and maybe get the trade here. We want this off the board, so they can't blink it. But we have other things we're trying to work with first, like the Stoneforge. What is the plan? We could dress this down so it's just a 1-2. That seems like a reasonable use of my resources here. Do I want to get this Tamiyo up and running, or would I rather wasteland them off the port? I think I'm going to wasteland them off the port. And we're just going to dress down the Stoneforge when it comes around. If they attack with the Recruiter, I will trade with the Bowmasters. By attacking with one and leaving the other one back, they might think they can get a point of damage in, and then we can block with the Bowmasters. Let's deploy this dress down so they don't get anything off of the Stoneforge. You've got a 1-2. Enjoy. The Wasteland is going to be annoying. Our deck is not a big level of Wasteland. Now we have Witherbloom Command and Life from Loam, which can recur our land, so we can get back that way. I want to get this Tamiyo going. I'm going to play out a fetch land so that I can have my 2-mana spell available, and we're just not going to ponder this turn. Just going to pass it over. We don't want to be wasted. Caracas is a little bit frustrating, but we can get through that eventually. Honestly, sure. So opponent of ours is about to leave the battlefield. Got it. Get back a 1-1 here if we want to, because one of our opponents did leave the battlefield. We're just going to get rid of their 2-2. There's no point getting Hedge Maze just yet. Might be able to use this for other means. Let's cast this Ponder. We can use this shuffle. Okay, I like a Brainstorm a lot here. Let's just take this Brainstorm and we can try and put back some of these lands. I could shuffle and then Brainstorm and see if we hit a fetch land. Then we just get to see more cards. So this has to be an Underground Sea here, because we have all the other jewels in our hand. Let's try and get some cards moving around. I'm going to put back a couple of lands. We did find a removal spell, which is not unhelpful. This looks like it flies because it's a bunch of birds, but it doesn't fly. I could kill this and then start swinging in. Is that useful to me? We need to push damage, I guess. Okay. And we can get in with the whole squad. Start trading damage in. Our opponent didn't attack into our Bowmasters last time. We left that as our only thing, which makes me think that they're going to prize keeping this alive for all their blink shenanigans more highly and getting our Bowmasters off the board. So we may as well start turning this sideways and getting a little bit of value that way. But I thought it was worth putting our opponent to test. Oh, we're just going to get that trade we wanted anyway. Big fan of that for us. We have a Hedge Maze we can go and find with this Misty Rainforest. We're already playing into Wasteland, so we're just going to have to suck it up and play into a bit more. We do need green to get an Uro online at some point. A Stoneforge. Is this going to find them the Meteor Sword? Or are we going for something like a Batterskull? Or maybe the one that brings stuff back? Pre-war Formal Wear. There we go. There it is. There is an Aganjo. They're just going to cast this now into a Daze. They are. We don't have a Daze, unfortunately. Oh no, they're just putting the Uro in hand. I like that a lot more. I think we're just going to get some Surveil action going. Hedge Maze. A Stifle. That's actually really good with this Pre-war Formal Wear and this Urin hanging around. So I will keep the Stifle. Attacking here doesn't seem great. I think we can probably Brainstorm. I'm going to leave up my blue source. They can't Wasteland here, which means we're going to be kind of cut off from green spells. We can always play this if we want a green spell. Let's move some stuff around. Force of Will isn't actually where I want to be. I do like the Wasteland Loam plan, though. If we're playing this, we don't need that this turn, so we can just go this on top and then the Loam. I want to take out their Caracas so they can't start looping Yorions later on down the tracks. And then we're going to pop our Graveyard out here so we can get a draw 3 off of that Life from the Loam. And then we can mill over the Tropical Islands on top because we can just get it back anyway. That's not a bad little one. I can put in the Pre-war Formal Wear. We can stifle the trigger of the Pre-war Formal Wear. But then we have to be working towards stopping this Yorion coming down, which might be difficult if they play a land. Okay, so they played a land, so we're not really going to be able to take them off of it, which is what it is, I guess. So draw a Life from the Loam. We'll get back Wasteland, Wasteland, and Misty. Which do I hold up here? Probably just have the Underground. We could hold up both of our basics so they can't waste us off of mana. Right, so we're in with these. We're going to keep getting in our opponent's mana sources here. I think we take out the Meadow, because if our opponent has a Flicker Wisp, they can flicker that back into a creature. Also, if they have a second Aganjo, which is unlikely, but if they do have a second Aganjo, they can't play it as a land whilst they have this one. We don't get to push damage here. At some point, we'll dredge into an Uro, and we'll be able to assemble that. Our opponent's Wasteland looking pretty bad here. Yep, so they're going to put in the Formal Wear here. Let's see what they target, and then we can decide if we want to stifle it. They're going to go and get back another Stoneforge. They're going to get Recruiter of the Guard, Spirit Labyrinth. We have an option to just take a chance here. If we could stifle this, because they'll be able to put in whatever they want with it. So if we stifle this, and then they don't draw into the land for the Yorion, then we're okay. They can Yorion blink this, and that is a little bit annoying. Alright, looks like they don't have it. So we took a little chance there, and it ended up working out quite well for us. Flicker Wisp. So they can blink out one of my tokens, or they can blink out his Formalware, which is the correct play here. And just get it back anyway. Okay, our Stifle was no good. But at least they had the Flicker Wisp to go with the Witch Enchanter. So at least we preempted that slightly. Not that that's going to be what they're targeting with it anyway. But it's just nice that the things you're thinking about end up coming to pass as options for your opponent. Here comes the Stoneforge Mystic. We can't do anything about this. I think our opponent's just going to grind us into dirt. I think they are better at the grind than we are. Every one of their guys is doing something here. And this is going to cut us off from doing Loam and other nonsense. We can't really afford to dredge a Loam just yet. How do we get out of this pickle? We can hard cast a counterspell on this Yorion. It's the most telegraphed counterspell you've ever seen in your life, though. But I don't think we're beating the Yorion if it comes down. This is just going to draw them, like, what, 3 cards? 4 cards? It's effectively going to be a draw 4 and a 4/5 body. I don't think we come back from that if that's what they have. We can Wasteland to try and keep them off of Yorion here. Or we can have our counterspell to keep them off Yorion. The counterspell actually gets rid of the Yorion, whereas the Wasteland means that we're kind of treading water. Alright, so getting in with some guys. We just have to suck it up and take this damage. If we can draw a Bowmaster, then we can actually start trading with some stuff in combat. They might wait for longer so they can Wasteland us, so that they can take us off of Force of Will. But we can just play around that by playing out lands every turn. I want to get this Lion Sash in, I would assume. Oh, Mother of Runes. Honestly, I think we are just dead here. I don't see how we get back into this one. We don't have a sweeper. Like, we can make them sacrifice some guy, which I guess we have to do now. Like, you just get rid of the redundant Stoneforge, I reckon. They might get rid of the Lion Sash, or they might put the Lion Sash in and then lose the Stoneforge. That's probably the correct play here. And then they can dredge. They can stop us from dredging with their Lion Sash here, if that's what they're worried about. I don't think Wastelanding our opponent out of the game is actually how we win this one. They're going to eat the Loam. I don't think they need to eat anything else. They can hold up with a plow or something. I just don't know how we're supposed to get back from this horrible situation we're in. We might scoop quite soon so that we have enough time to play games 2 and 3. Because these are going to be long, grindy matchups. Right, you're eating the Loam. Go ahead. A Ponder. Well, if something's going to save us, it's probably going to be on the end of a Ponder, isn't it? Okay, I can work with these cards. We Brainstorm into all of them. We can put some stuff back. Okay. So we have to go Brainstorm here. Put back 2 lands. Or you can put back land and Narset. And then play the Narset next turn. We're not cracking this anyway. Put this and then the Narset on top. And we can make a land drop. We can Orcish Bowmasters away this Mother of Runes before it's active. It's annoying because I would like to also kill this Flicker Wisp. We can at least trade with something in combat now. And we've got the Yorion covered here. Do I get rid of my opponent's Wasteland? Do I get rid of their White Source here? If we get rid of their Wasteland, it makes our life a lot easier. Moving on. I think I will take this Wasteland out. There is going to be a big way that we can recover, and we kind of need to get it all done in one turn. If we constrict their mana, they're less likely to be able to activate the Sash on the turn we're trying to do stuff with it. Okay, so there's a lot of friends coming in here. They can certainly pump this so it's big enough. We could just put all of our stuff under the bus and kill this Stoneforge, which I think might be what we're doing, but then we're kind of cold to this. The top of our library is Narset, which can maybe find us a removal spell for the Lion Sash. This is 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think we get to do this. I don't think we get to do this at all. I think we have to chump block here. Maybe chump block here. Ugh, this is horrible. We could have blocked the Arc or Kami here to force them to pay 1, but then it's not really that big a deal, is it? Recruiter of the Guard. We kind of need our Force of Will to hit this Yorion, not the Recruiter. But the Recruiter is going to find something equally unbeatable for us, I'm sure. We're going to play the Narset, minus it, and if it's no good, we're just going to scoop, because we need time to win our matches. I just don't think we're going to be winning this one in the long run. So we need to try and go to the next game. A Solitude. Yep, that does kind of bury one of our outs. I think Narset is better than a random draw because it digs 4 deep. We know there's a Brainstorm on there. No, sorry, it's not a Brainstorm, is it? It's the Tropical Island. So we do want to crack this first, I think. So we get 4 looks at things. Black is our removal colour. Witherbloom Command is worth drawing here. So if we take the green source for Uro later on, we can cast a Narset, leaving up our 2 jewels. And that way we get more looks at stuff we can hopefully cast. Witherbloom Command would be useful. Just a Daze. Alright, that's not going to work. We're done. Let's go to game 2. Make better use of our time on the clock. Whew. Engine Explosives. I would like that. Caracas has some text here. Toxic Deluge is a stone cold banger. These consigned to memories are very good. Daze, I don't particularly want here. Baleful Strix looks great. Withering Command can actually kill stuff. Fatal Pushes looks good. These sorts of things all seem fine. The Force of Wills seem less exciting. Burn off a couple of those. And then if we want to fit in all of this stuff, we're going to need to find some more cuts. Are we just getting rid of Force of Wills and replacing them with consigns? I think that's probably what we're doing. It's a grinding matchup. We don't want to be spewing card disadvantage all the game long. Removal spell. These sorts of things are useful. I think this is fine. We play out a duel, a fetch in case we need to stifle something. I don't know what we'd actually be stifling on turn 1. It's not really a turn 1 stifle sort of matchup. A Mother of Runes. I will happily send this one to the bin. I think we just have to go and get the island here. Respect our opponent's ability to interact with our mana base. Let's pass it over. We managed to kill the Mother of Runes. That's a big deal, because if that gets online, it just becomes a significant problem for us. We have a removal spell for this if we want it. An Uro. We could just Uro here and not draw an extra card. That seems terrible. We could Brainstorm here and not draw an extra card. That also seems terrible. We could just Fatal Push this creature so that all of our cards work. I like it when my cards work. I could Brainstorm here. I could hold up a Stifle. I could just hold up this Dress Down instead. And then we could maybe get an Uro through next turn. Now, if our opponent has a Caracas, then we're going to feel a bit awkward having this Uro. An Ether Vial. We kind of bored out our stuff that cares about Ether Vial anyway. Another Richardam Port. What are we putting down here? My island? Force me to Brainstorm out. No, they're putting down my green source. Let's get a Brainstorm going. Engine Explosives, Life from the Loam. Life of the Loam is a good way of getting this Uro online, but we can just cheat it in next turn anyway. Probably putting back Loam and land. I don't want to be wasted off of green, but if it happens, we can't really do much about it. We put back this Underground Sea. Cut drop. Like, we can stifle a wasteland activation. It's not the highest use of our stifle, but we can just end a turn, slide an address down if our opponent's tapped out, especially then we can get this Uro in. They do have white removal and Caracas in their deck, so I'm not expecting Uro to go all the way, but it'll be a good start. We can just blow up this Ether Vial soon as well. Oh, there's a Caracas. Well, well, well. That changes our plans entirely, doesn't it? Are you going to double port us, perhaps? There goes one. I assume they're going to tap down the jewel, because it restricts our options. So now we can just play out this Engine Explosives for 1. This will deal with Ether Vial in a minute. Or we can deal with Ether Vial right now, in fact, can we? We go shields down on some of our other spells, though. Secret is not to pop this until their upkeep, if we are popping it this turn cycle. Which I think we should. Because otherwise they can slide in a 1-drop if we do it in our turn. So now they have a choice between porting us or playing to the board. Looks like they are playing to the board. Probably going to be something like a Stoneforge or a Recruiter. Wouldn't have minded dressed down in that one. But our mana was somewhat spoken for. And a Stoneforge. Alright. This is because the Stoneforge is what they fetched. But that makes sense. They did have a Stoneforge, which is the thing we were worried about. They just went through it via circuitous route, getting it first off the Recruiter. A Loam. We knew this was coming, and we didn't want it. Are we just jamming in an Uro to try and draw a bit more? I can start to keep this in, but there's no point because of the Wasteland. We don't have a land. Goodbye, Uro. Go attacks. Send in the team here. We're trying to get a Stoneforge block here, so we can ping it down. I can just pre-war wear it right up again, though. But if we trade it and get this off the board, then we can hopefully stifle this pre-war wear. The one issue I have here is the mana we've left up for this means that they can wasteland us off of Stifle. And they know we're playing Stifle. So they should be able to navigate their way around this one. I could just drop in a dress down so that the pre-war formware gets something back, but it doesn't have a trigger. But again, they can just wasteland our blue source, and if we don't do anything, okay, they can wasteland both of our lands. And then if we don't do anything, then they go off, and if we do something, they just wait a turn, because the inevitability is on their side, I think, here. Alright, they're going after this tropical island. That is an interesting choice. Not the one I would have opted for. I'll float black mana. We just do nothing, I guess. It's hard at the Stifle so we don't get super blown out by this pre or formalware. I didn't fancy it. They're just going after our green sources. And now they're going to port down our blue source. Okay. A wasteland. I don't hate the wasteland. Gives us a line if we can find a green source again. And then I'm going to put in the formalware. So we let it come in and then we stifle the ability of it. Otherwise it's just going to go and get back a recruiter. Stifle this trigger. And then they're going to Flicker Wisp it, and then we're probably going to be done at that point. We could take them off their second white source to stop Flicker Wisp coming down. I think I'm going to do that. If they just had another Caracas that was stuck in their hand, we've just opened it up for them. I think keeping our opponent off of Flicker Wisp in this pre or formalware and keeping them further away from Yorion is a good spot to be. The old Ghosty Vacuum. Hoover up our little Uro, so that's that game plan gone. It makes his life in the Loam very poor. They're just targeting our mana base. The destruction of all of our green sources was very good. Like, the turn they started doing that, I thought they were trying to resolve something or push something through, but actually what they're trying to do is just play the long game and keep us off of green mana, which is going to work incredibly well for them. We need to find... If we find a green mana and we just get to life in the Loam and slurp back a bunch of lands, we'll be okay. But we're going to get wasted and ported this turn. Gosh, it's so long since we've been probably ported out of a game of Legacy. It's nostalgic, really. I could ping them down and maybe turn this into, like, a horrible race. Oh, what else are we doing? I think I'd rather keep up my blue so I can ponder and brainstorm this turn. Just ping our opponent's face. Just try and get the damages in before our opponent stabilizes. That's not really a situation you want to be in. Okay, that's some pretty big news. We're never going to be able to cast this, as long as our opponent's just porting and wastelanding us. But because we took out that vial ages ago, it does mean that if our opponent wants to improve their board position, we then get a turn where we get to try and disrupt that. Because they have to tap down out of their land disruption. A Mother of Runes. Ugh, just after I play my Bowmaster. Why not? And then they're going to equip it. You got it. That's a 3/3. 2 cards left in our opponent's hand. Maybe take whatever you want out of there. Okay, we actually get all of our mana this turn. So now we have a ponder. We could prime ponder into some mana. I like that. Well, it's mana, isn't it? We could just sweep the board and see if our cards are better than our opponents. That is an option available to us. Then next turn we ponder if they don't tap down all of our mana. That's the problem. The mana here is just super scary for us to deal with. Am I shuffling this so I can try and dig for a green source? I think we are. Did not find the green source. We did find a good card, though. I'll take this. Give us a nice redraw deck. Okay. I can definitely see just Toxic Deluging right there. The problem with that is we probably don't get to cast spells anymore because they can wasteland us down, and any land means they get to tap us down ad infinitum. They can certainly make it so we never have going on. Extraction Specialist. When this card enters, it does something, and then target creature of mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature can't attack or block as long as you control this creature. So it brings back the guy, gets back some abilities. Okay, please don't wasteland me, I guess. Oh, they wastelanded me. I would very much like to get this Toxic Deluge off now. The Mother of Runes can attack and protect itself because it has vigilance, which is kind of cool. Yeah, we take the Brainstorm. It's not what this game is about. This game is about us timing out, but while still losing, I think. Not find a land, that would have been real good there. Real good. If I dress down, does that do anything to help us out? Probably not. It does draw us another card. I think we're just going to Sheoldred's Edict and try and kill something on our opponent's turn. But now they have a good enough board, they can start attacking and using their tools to pressure our mana. And getting out from underneath this is going to be hard. Alright, we gain a life. Not the exact situation I was after. Each opponent sacrifice a non-token creature of their choice. Let's see what they sacrifice. We just need to be using our mana when we can. If we can trade this guy off. If we force a tap on the Mother of Runes. That's fine. Our way of killing Mother of Runes is to Deluge. Right, so I'm going to tap down one of our lands. This would be a great time to draw a green source. I don't know how many green sources we have left on our deck. I suspect not as many as I would like. An Orcish Bowmasters. That is good next turn when they try and tap us down. This will leave us with the biggest creature, or the equal biggest creature, right? We'll have a 3/3 as well. Now, they obviously have, like, protection, which can skew stuff, but maybe getting this Bowmasters down will be enough. This is all very suspicious, isn't it? And then we just take this damage this time around. And then when they port us, we can ping down the Spirit. Not that that's the most useful thing, because they can just give it protection and then our creature doesn't grow. So maybe we're supposed to ping down their face. The lifelink on this little extraction specialist as well has undone the little chip shots we were getting in. I think this is going to the face just to make our creature bigger. I don't think it's worth just trying to make the Mother Runes tap out one time. Especially since we have no way of punishing that. Murderous Cut. Okay. It's a removal spell, but we're just going to be absolutely taxed out of this game by our opponent. Giving us the proper Death and Taxes experience. Oh, they've got another spell. They're going to remove our guy. The way we win this one is by our opponent not using their port or us just run around of lands for a few. If we draw a green land, then we have all of our lands catered for a while. But the Ghost Faction is probably going to start going after. Ugh. Okay, Source Plowshares. Like I said, the Ghost Faction is probably start going after our green sources soon so that we can't loan them back. Okay, I guess we block here and here and force the Mother of Runes to tap, which means in our draw step, when they put us down, we can at least get rid of this Mother of Runes. And then we're almost back to some sort of sense of parity. Our opponent does have a grip for 3 cards, though. They might just let this go because they've got a way of bringing it back. Yep, they know this game is not about that. A third Rishadan port. Okay. Getting rid of the Stifle there. So they're trying to make Murktide a worse draw for us. Let's see what they go after here. They've got a lot more time on their clock, so they're definitely going to win this match. But I'd like to see if we can get a nice conclusion to this game. Right, they're porting down the island. You got it. A Witherbloom command. No good without a green source. We have a spell we can cast. But what good is it going to do me? We can preserve 3 life by just hitting this before they go to attacks. But I don't think that's where I want to be. Anyway, but maybe next turn. They should just double port us, right? How do they lose if they just double port us? I think we need to find a land this turn, or we can just pack it up. Can lose both of these, and they don't have to act. So we're just going to cycle this through, because they can act as and when they want with this. They can wait for us to spend the mana on move to the draw step, so it burns off, and then they get to port. Ooh, that's no good. A wasteland. Does that change anything? Probably not. Play it out. I can take out one of the ports, which gives us a chance if they... Well, why would they do anything other than... So I'm going to port this wasteland down. I guess you wasteland one of the ports. There's an argument for keeping raw mana. I think we're just very, very dead here. Like, we're going to get put to 1 here, so we don't even get to Toxic Deluge. Yeah, what are we doing? We're just completely destroyed. That felt like a really horrible matchup for us. But that's what Texas wants to do. It wants to have these long grinding games, and that's what we're signing up for. But we don't have as powerful a grind engine as things like the Beanstalk decks. We're just trying to like get people with like Life from Loams and Uros, which our opponent just is very well set up to handle. Okay, let's go to round 2. On the play, we've got Brainstorm to move a few pieces around. Seems fine. We've got ways of not getting blown out by some of the really scary things that early decks can do in this format. Let's just play out a fetch land. I think we might be getting a Hedge Maze if the option is available to us. I think we need to index relatively heavily on green mana if we're trying to cast Uros in a world of wastelands. That is a Tamiyo. I think we have to interact with this or we might lose the game. Alright. Step 1. We did not lose to Tamiyo on turn 1. But we have the mana to pay around Daze, which is kind of a big deal. That might have been the thing that made it actually work. I'm not sure if we make that play if we don't have the 1 mana available. Okay, this wants to go in the graveyard anyway. I'm not going to dredge this, am I? Okay, should have just dredged it. It would have worked out fine. Let's wasteland our opponent's land. And now I'm going to Brainstorm. So I'm going to cancel, cancel, Cancel. And then we're just going to put 2 things on top of our library. And then we can dredge them next turn and clear them off the Brainstorm. The next turn we can go and get back our Wasteland. We've kind of got our opponent in the Wasteland lock. Any fetch land can break them out of it, whether you just go and get basics. Most of the blue-black decks can play off of just a couple of basic lands. Surveil land. Not quite what the Doctor ordered for them. But if they can mill over a big monster. Okay, not the big monster that I was thinking of, like an Atraxa or an Archon of Cruelty. And they might be in for a chance to reanimate it. We're going to leave our Graveyard Popped out now because we're going to be dipping in and out of that a great deal. Let's go and get ourselves an Underground Sea. And here comes a Life from the Loam. Would you like to be wastelanded every turn? Now, they could certainly beat that. If they start putting stuff on board that we have to deal with, then we don't get to just wasteland them all the time. A Brainstorm. They could just get Brainstorm locked without a land here and scoop it up. That's probably our best case scenario. At some point we can dump this Barrowgoyf into play, which can dig us into more lands for our Loam. And get a grip of multiple wastelands, so we only have to go in like every 3 turns to Loam, if we want to wasteland every single turn. Unless we're Urowing, in which case we get to put in additional lands. We could wasteland twice in a turn cycle. Right, they found a land, and they're cracking it. What have we got here? Dark Ritual. We're getting Doomsdayed. We are getting Doomsdayed. So they know we have a wasteland in hand, so they're going to build their pile around our ability to wasteland them twice. So wasteland them is not what we want to do here, because this is face up. So our opponent easily plans around this. I think we're going to lose, unfortunately. We had to spend our resources to stop Tamiyo. We didn't have an answer for Tamiyo. We did eventually find one, but if we'd have waited for this, our opponent would have got to draw 2 or 3 extra cards from it, and then we'd probably lose to that anyway. One of my things when I was looking at this deck was, why is it only running a few Tamiyos? Tamiyo doesn't feel like a card that you just want 2 of in your deck for the most part. Okay, we can have a look at our opponent's deck. Anything interesting? Murktides, we already knew about those. No Bowmasters, just Murktides and Tamiyos. Or they got a grip full of Bowmasters. But like we said, we know that they're going to be able to play through our wasteland. So our plan here is not to wasteland. I think we have 2 options available. We can try and get this Barrowgoyf in and hope that our opponent passes the turn once, which seems unlikely, but possible. They did immediately cycle after their Street Wraith. So that suggests to me that they have an answer for whatever we're going to do, and it doesn't matter. I'm not going to insult my opponent's intelligence by trying to wasteland here, because they're definitely going to have an answer. Our build doesn't have Thoughtseize in, so we can't just brainstorm into that. We could brainstorm into Bowmasters, though, which I think is worth attempting. Let's go for the Brainstorm. No, Life from the Loam. Don't want you, Uro. Ugh. Well, I guess that's probably the end of the game, isn't it? We can shuffle here and present some strength, but our opponent's just going to combo into it. The one land that they actually care about is the Cavern of Souls, and we won't be able to interact with that until after it's done its job. I think they're going to go for an LED line. I can't remember if I don't think there was an LED in the pile. Lotus Petal. Oh no, the LED's here. How many petals? They've got 2 petals, so they probably have 2 petals in their pile. So here goes a Street Wraith. I get a 5. We didn't play a Bowmaster in response. They're probably feeling pretty good about that. Thassa's Oracle. So this comes in, we get to Fatal Push it. That is our attempt to stop this. I imagine this works, and then our opponent just has another Oracle in the pile. Pile could just be lands and Oracles. You know. Alright, so we're getting a Force here, and that's going to give them the win. Okay. Good enough for me. Let's have a look at our sideboard. So we need to respect their Tamiyo, so we probably need the Engineering Explosives. Carpet of Flowers seems good here. Vetus Summer seems useful. Force of Negation is also useful. Consigns are pretty good against some of their things. The problem is they have 2 plans. Like, how are we supposed to get through both of the plans that they have? That's where the trouble lies. Kaito is very good against the fair plan and also draws us cards against the unfair plan. So I'm a big fan of that. Narset is pretty useful at shutting down some of their bits and pieces too. Their mana base is something we can pick up on because they're a mono blue deck trying to cast a black spell. How much do we like removal spells here? Not a huge amount, but they're probably boarding in Bowmasters. It's just one of those horrible situations where your opponent's got the agency because they can bring in like basically a different deck. And we don't have that agency. So we're just at their mercy a little bit. I like the Stifles that we already have. Withering Command This can kill a Bowmasters and disrupt their hands. That seems like an essential one. I'd rather just have a deck with Thoughtseize in. I do like the old Thoughtseizers. Guess we need to keep our counter spells. We're not getting rid of any of these. How are we supposed to board any of this in? That's the question. Are we just skimping on win conditions here? We're getting rid of the cuts maybe, and rely on, you know, get out a little bit of removal. That gets us maybe like a carpet and an explosives. That is removal as well. And if we want these veils and this force, we're going to have to find other cuts. We could maybe go down on this because we've got the Sheoldred's Edicts already. So maybe we just get rid of all the pushes. Then we're a little bit cold to Bowmasters is the issue. Veil of Summer can kind of nail the Bowmasters though. And that maybe gives us a Force of Negation if they're doing the Doomsday line. Would I like another removal spell for their fair line here? How good are we against the actual Doomsday line? We're okay. We've got Bowmasters, but not that many of them. We've got Narset, but not that many. Alright, we're going to try out this. This deck is certainly not built for my sensibilities of how I like to play the game. Yeah, this hand is unplayable unless we think we can just cheese somebody and maybe draw a blue source. I don't think I want to just die to our opponent getting basic lands. Well, I'm going to keep this Ponder. I think I'm willing to attempt the cheese with a double wasteland. And we'll fetch off of these to do what we're up to. So this is probably just going to be Island Ponder. Let's have a look. I don't really want to draw these lands. I don't mind the third coloured source. But already sort of doing Stifle. I think we need to see something better here. Brainstorm. That is about the best draw we could have hoped for, because now we can get rid of these wastelands if they're not going to be useful. And the Stifle, which might not be useful, can become something good. Our opponent just has a really good density of good cards in their deck though. Yeah, so they got Thoughtseizes, which is something that our deck doesn't have at all, which feels really awkward not playing the best black card. Okay, we lost the best card in our hand, so now we're back to doing nonsense again. They have a basic, so these are completely dead. There's a natural basic as well. Narset, Parter of Veils. Okay, well that's pretty good against a lot of their deck. Like Brainstorms and Ponders and trying to combo through with their Doomsday become very difficult with Narset in play. Getting Narset in play and getting it to stick around, that might be the more difficult part of that equation though. Cavern of Souls, we're just going to see like... Okay, it's on Wizard, so it's not going to be like uncountable Bowmasters. It's going to be a Tamiyo, unfortunately. Oh no. Thoughtseize first. Yeah, I think we're going to get absolutely crushed in this matchup. Feels very difficult when our opponent's got these really cheap interactive pieces like Thoughtseizes and we're trying to resolve 3 drops. Okay, let's go get a Hedge Maze, see if the Surveil can find us an answer to this Tamiyo. Polluted Delta. Like, we're probably going to need that mana at some point, but right now we are so far behind because of the Tamiyo. We need to just try and overcome it. It's the thing that we have, so we're going to cast it. Green and blue. I heard you like Wasteland's opponent, because that's all I have. Wasteland's Cavern feels real bad. It's like not doing very much for them. But maybe the raw colourless count is going to be relevant at some point. Maybe it makes them think twice about casting a spell into a potential Daze that we could have. Could buy us a little bit of room. This is just going to be a basic island. There it is. So they got their basics. They're playing around Stifle, and now they just get to draw an extra card every turn. Yeah, their card advantage engine is better than ours because we can't get this Uro in for a while. By the time we get the Uro in, they're probably going to have an Ancestral Recall's worth of free cards. And that is a disaster for us. Veil of Summer. Am I even playing this Wasteland or am I just holding it for Brainstorm? I think I'm just holding it for Brainstorm. We are just going to bleed out slow to this Tamiyo. Like, the board state won't change very much from this, but their hand's just going to be absolutely jam-packed. Now, we can force our way through trying to resolve a spell using this Veil of Summer. Maybe we can get through a Thoughtseize our opponent has. Polluted Delta. Well, we can try and stifle that. They know we have a Stifle, so they're just going to hold up for it. If we want to play around a Daze, we probably need to play this Wasteland out. They only have one of each basic, so they know the rest of their lands are going to be under duress here. Yeah, you enjoy a clue here. So we could just... Okay, so they didn't want to play into Bowmasters there. So we're at least representing something that they're having to think about. So they're going to go get another clue. I guess we just have to do nothing for a little bit more. Force of Negation, that does stop one of the problem cards. But the issue is, the bigger problem card right now is Tamiyo. We can't do anything about it. Would I like to stifle this? How often do you just get to trade Stifle for a single card? I guess maybe what we're trying to do is get them to Doomsday combo and cheese them out using our Stifle Dress Down Veil of Summer technology. Seems incredibly sketchy, but it also seems like the only way we win this game. But our opponent doesn't need to do anything. They can just keep turning this sideways, building up clues. And because this doesn't just draw you a card, it just puts a clue into play that you can draw a card later. It means that they're going to be accruing extra cards. They don't have to put them in cards and then go to discard. They don't have to put them in their hand that way. They can just wait until they actually want to crack them. We could also cycle this Dress Down. Like, our life total isn't ebbing away from us. I do like this carpet of flowers. That feels like the sort of thing our opponent might fight over. Let's try this. We don't have the Veil of Summer to push this through. This is really going to help us with casting the Euro. Force pitching Daze. I will take my 1 mana 2-for-1. In comes a Tamiyo. Have yourself another clue. And whenever they convert cards, it means they can start cracking clues again. And getting their hand refilled. So we're going to be playing against at least 7 cards in our opponent's hand this entire game. Oh, Thoughtseize. Now, we've lost this game. I don't see how we ever come back. Which sounds like a wild thing to say. But we're just so far behind on resources. Our opponent's effectively got 8 cards in hand with these 2 clues. And we're going to be down to 3. And they've also got a combo finish. Normally, you'd expect a combo deck to be the one that's got to, you know, throw out a bunch of resources and maybe it doesn't quite work out. Whereas a control deck just accumulates all the cards. But that's not what's happening here. We can stop this Tamiyo flipping if we want to. Okay, I think I'm just going to stifle this Tamiyo, as sad as that is. The downside for them is they get to continue having a Howling Mine. A Veil of Summer. Right, it's starting to crack some fetch lands. This does turn on our wastelands, which is not nothing. I would not like my opponent to go and do very much with these lands if possible. We'll see if they crack another one. If they crack this other one, I will wasteland this one. They'll float the mana for it, they'll get the other one, and they'll draw a card off that clue. And they're still obviously in a great position here. You're going to use this mana now? I assume so. I think we'll stop them untapping with a land. That's half of their underground seas down. 2 more to go. Life of the Loam would be good just so we can get our colours. If we can start trying to resolve an Uro, that might feel like a good position for us to be in. We could have boarded in Caracas in this match, but I don't think it's better than the spells we have in our deck. And I certainly don't think we can take out lands. Okay, there's a wasteland. Oh, these decks really get to play it all, don't they? I think Doomsday is very, very strong right now. Okay, so Tamiyo goes. They got a clue. They're going to strip away our mana again. This is not the first time we've been kind of defeated by our mana in this league, and we're only in round 2. Now, they might not wasteland us. They might just think it's better to draw more cards. But I think taking out the green mana here feels real good. Because if they take out the green mana, that shuts off Loam. And they can probably... I don't think they've seen... No, they did see Loam game 1, right? So they know that we are playing Loam, but they just want to draw cards and flip the Tamiyo. Sure, I think that's fine. I just kind of want to be put on my misery at this point. Yeah, our opponent's having to go to discard, which is a thing that you don't do very often in Legacy. Because you can use so many resources on low mana. Force of Will. I'm just going to draw everything. I just don't think we're beating this. Alright, let's go to match 3. Maybe a slightly early concession, but I was having a miserable time, and I'm sure you were too. Let's go to round 3. Okay, we're in another little grindy control matchup. Quite likely, because Strifer is known for playing a 4-color control deck. Our hand doesn't really function. I think we have to mulligan this one. The mana was just not there. Okay, we'll keep this one. We have probably the best card in our deck in Tamiyo. That's not a bad place to start things off, is it? Our opponent's deck is probably going to be relatively vulnerable to wastelands. They might have wastelands of their own. I think we're just going to play on non-basics here, though. If our opponent is playing like a 4-color control deck, they might not have many slots for wastelands. Alright, a Force of Will pitching Dak Faden. This means they don't have an easy answer to our Tamiyo, so I'm going to force it through. And then we just get to be the horrible Tamiyo game that ruins our opponent's time. And we now have a Daze to go with it. So we kind of get to do what our opponent was doing to us in the last game we played. Not a terrible way for us to be. Tamiyo is definitely one of the best things you can be doing in Legacy. It's just an incredibly powerful thing. I think Doomsday might actually be the best Tamiyo deck, as weird as that is, though. Although the Bant Beans deck is doing very well right now. So this is our opponent saying, we have an Orcish Bowmaster here if you want to jam something into it. Am I okay with dazing here? I think I am okay with dazing a Bowmaster if they have it. You got it? Oh, just a Fatal Push. We didn't get to Daze that one, unfortunately. And now our opponent has answered our engine, and now we are in trouble. But maybe we can put our opponent in some trouble as well. I think I want to Brainstorm here now that there's no Bowmasters up. I like the Euro quite a bit. Do some stuff with that next turn. I'm a big fan of wastelanding our opponent into the dirt as well. Kind of want all of these, really. Put this on top, and then the Ponder. We can draw the Ponder next turn. The wasteland makes our Daze better. I want to get rid of green or blue. I'll get rid of blue mana, I think. That's cantrips and things. But this means if they have a Daze... I guess if they have a Daze, it's just switched off entirely. But if they have another blue land, they can bounce that. And I think this is a fine wasteland. So they don't really know what's in our deck. They're obviously quite up to date with what decks are doing well and challenges and things. So they might be fully aware of the list we're playing because it did win that challenge. If we can do this, next turn we can wasteland and ponder next. And that's going to be pretty good. And then we're just working towards getting this Uro up and running. I don't know how many colours our opponent's deck is. We've seen red, blue, black and green. So it's probably just a classic Stifle pile here, which is non-white control. Alright, we'll just sit on our little Daze plus Wasteland package and see if this is enough to get us through this one. If they keep playing lands, it might not be. The top card of our library is Ponder. Pondering now. We're always playing this Wasteland. I think we are. If they go and get an island here, we can then waste it and do some cool stuff. I like the land. I like the Brainstorm. So I think that means we go... I want to put the Force into our hand, just so we've got that to rely on, then the Brainstorm next. And then we'll see if they want to crack and get a blue source here. I don't want to get a blue source. Do I want to wasteland my opponent now? I think I'm okay with doing that. I'd rather pick up a blue fetch, a blue jewel rather than a black-green one. But I think it's important to hit our opponent's mana where we can. This turn we have a Brainstorm available. We don't need to fire it off just yet. Although we know the next card down is worth brainstorming into, don't we? Okay, let's cast this Brainstorm. Give them a target for their Orcish Bowmasters. We can force will that if necessary. Oh, I love seeing all these. So if we put land and then Uro on top. We play this, we draw the Uro. Next time we draw the land. Okay, it feels like things are starting to come together for us. Our opponent hasn't presented a terrifying engine that we can't beat, which is always a pleasure. We know they've got Bowmasters in their deck to go with their Dak Faden. Okay, they missed on land. That's not where our opponent wanted to be there. Get this Uro in. Draw a bonus card. Leave our graveyard popped up. I'll put this land in for free. I'll put this land in for free. This means next turn we have the ability to get the Uro out of our graveyard. And from that point on, I think we're in good stead. We have a Surveil land we can reach for. We've got Force of Will to back up our friend. Ugh. Really don't want to play against this. Is it more important to get our Uro going, though? I think it is slightly more important to get our Uro going, because this requires them to have mana and resources to channel into it. Let's go and get ourselves that Hedge Maze. See if we can find something exciting. Another Force of Will. Do you want Force of Will Daze? Sure. Seems difficult to lose from that position, right? We got Force and a Daze when our opponent's on very low resources. Let's go and get a black source. Just get this Underground Sea, I think it's fine. And let's escape this. So black. Next we want green, green, blue, blue. We'll get rid of a bunch of stuff that we don't necessarily get to use. We want to keep some lands in for our Loam. We want to keep some instants in for our Murktide. A Force of Will. I would like to fight back over this Force of Will. Would I? Or we can just do it next turn. Yeah, we can just do it next turn, actually. We hold this back so that the Tamiyo can't attack without surrendering its life. We got 2 for 1 off of that Uro, and then we get to redeploy next turn. If they don't have a Brainstorm or removal spell, they can't attack, and that's what's happened. Let's just do the same again. Green, green, blue, blue. This time we do actually have to get rid of some stuff that I maybe would have liked to have kept. Leave a Wasteland in there so we can try and loam our way through this game. I'd probably defend this one because we don't have the resources to fire again. Okay, we're going to see a Bowmasters. We haven't played a land yet, so we can definitely get them if they Bowmasters here. Assassin's Trophy. I'm going to keep this around with a Daze. And then we can put this Hedge Maze back in that we just got rid of. I'm okay to have... Okay, our opponent's just scooping up here. We have a protected Uro. Our opponent understands that these games are going to take a long time. I appreciate that, opponent. This feels like a deck where maybe Graveyard Hate is going to be useful. I like the Carpet and the Veils. Mana Advantage is big news. Kaito is going to be a banger for us. Hydroblast counters some of their spells. They have Dak Faden, but they don't have that many other red spells. They might have Colligan's Command, which isn't amazing against us anyway. They're probably going to play around this Daze anyway, so that could just become some of these things. Caracas, they probably have their own Uros. They have Tamiyos, so we can go up on lands, which is where we want to be, making land drops. Nice. This can kill Dak Faden, and also is more flexible. How big into these fatal pushes are we? I'd like to kill Tamiyos. Dress down, I don't think this is a big dress down. Maybe we can cheese out a Uro, but I think I'd rather just have these really powerful tools. So let's have a look what we're at the moment. So we need at least 3 more cuts if we want to get these things in. We don't want to be like doing all the forces. Sometimes forcing something through is good. It helps you stabilize later on, but I don't really want to be indexing heavy on that. Maybe we don't need this many fatal pushes. We can turn one into a land. I kind of like the spell bombs as cantrips a lot here. If our opponent's running Uros and their own Loams, that's going to be a good one. Maybe you can trim on a Stifle here and have something that looks like this. I can definitely see having Force of Negation in over a Force because it's easier to hardcast. But if we need to like hit a clutch Uro or something, we're going to want things to be a little bit differently. Okay, we got Brainstorm to fix, provided we don't get windmilled in the heart by Orcish Bowmasters. We have our land secured for this entire game. So if our opponent has a Life from Loam plan, that's not going to get us. Which is nice. I wish the Hedge Maze was still in our deck though. Okay, so I think this goes and gets us a basic island. I think I'm going to Brainstorm now around Bowmasters. Okay, the Tamiyo for later. We can put back a couple of lands. I don't want to have to be thinking about Bowmasters all the time, and we can just say, let's not, you know? Let me go and fetch a dual land here. I want a second green. I'm going to use this to deploy it so we can threaten the Brainstorm at all times. There was a red source. We're going to see a Pyroblast here. So their Pyroblasts are pretty good in this matchup, whereas our Hydroblasts don't seem great. Drown in the Lock. You got it, opponent. Dak Faden. He is the greatest thief in the multiverse. Let's try and kill this guy, I guess. This is mana value 2 or less, isn't it? So that won't defeat that guy. But we can play this out and get Hedge Maze and just go for an Edict right now. Am I playing around? I don't think they're going to have Force of Negations in. You can sacrifice a Planeswalker of your choice, please. I'm just going to fetch a black source first. So we didn't get our Seville land, actually, do we? That's fine. Now we can represent Veil of Summer off of this tropical island. Veil of Summer being a way to push through Bowmasters is nice. Okay, so we got rid of the Dak Faden. That's like pretty much Strife's signature card at this point. There's also Cephalid Colosseum, which is really good with doing Bowmasters and Narset stuff where you can target your opponent and it becomes discard. There's a lot of different lads over there. It's their turn to have an Uro. And maybe we just slam a Kaito and freeze it out. And that's probably our best route through. Our opponent is very much in the slam and haymakers stage of the game. Let's see if we can slam ours. Ours does trump theirs for now. But this is a very good target for a Force of Will. Yep, so now I think it's our opponent's turn to just body us with an Uro and then it goes back to us. We have this really nice Wasteland package against our opponent's 4-colour deck though. I don't know how long we can tread water versus this guy though. It's a 3-turn clock. And they're going to be keeping a nice full hand. Okay, so they have all the mana in the world. Good for you, opponent. I'm happy for you. A Brainstorm. I guess we get Bowmastered. We didn't get Bowmastered, we just drew rubbish. Put back a couple of lands here. Let's crack this for an Underground Sea. I think we will ponder a Murktide Regent and an Engine and Explosives. The Engine and Explosives can answer this. The Murktide Regent can also answer. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it'll be a 7. That is enough, isn't it? I think we get the Murktide down first. Pyroblast cooks us pretty hard. But next time we can just play and crack the Engine Explosives and then try and wasteland our opponent off of mana. That's going to be very difficult when they've got this Carpet of Flowers though. So maybe the wasteland's not going to help too much. They got plenty of blue. So if we hit their green source, they just make green. And if we hit their blue sources, they can still make green. So they're just going to cling our Kaito. Alright, they're going to windmill this in. I think we're blocking here. Although, it feels like there's a little pause, so we might be getting our creature removed, like Sheoldred's Edict and stuff. Assassin's Trophy. You got it. This is going to take the card off the top of our deck if we do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think we can afford to lose that in Engineering Explosives on top of our deck. And that's actually our way through here. Because this will kill us next turn. And a random card does not answer this, so we have to not take the shuffle. And once again, we are in hoping for the best territory. Blue, black, green. We can fire this in for next turn. I'm playing out this wasteland. Yes, am I using this wasteland is a better question. I don't know. Because we can blow up the Carpet Flowers. That's not this turn. That's next turn. And Orcish Bowmasters. That's pretty good, isn't it? If they have a follow-up Bowmasters, we're 100% dead. So that's a fun little wrinkle for us to navigate. I would expect to lose this matchup. Me personally playing this deck. Because this is the first time I'm playing the bug deck that we're playing today. And it's not really in my wheelhouse of how I would like to construct my decks. Sorry, I was too busy talking, and now we're going to give them a neuro trigger. Whoops. And our opponent is the person who plays the Strifo pile decks, because their name is Strifo. So they have a million reps on what they're doing over there. 5 blue manas. Otawara, bounce their own guy, replay it, ping us to death. Okay. That seems decent for our opponent. Do I want to do anything differently? Do we want a little bit more removal? Maybe we want a little bit more removal and we're a little bit less involved with these Force of Wills. We're just doing some 1-for-1 trading. Just get that game going. Alright, we'll try that. I think our best line to win in this game is probably through the Life of Loam. If we can just wasteland them into the dirt, like we did in game 1, then we'll be having a jolly good time. I don't think we can throw something back that looks like this. We've got the Euro covered, which is nice. Bowmasters, obviously very good against any blue deck that's trying to draw extra cards. Ponder. I don't hate these cards. I would like to make land drops. Witherroom Command is pretty good at doing that. I think we're just going to shuffle this though. We just want to find some lands. Okay, that's not a land, but it's close. So this turn we can go like Carpet plus Spellbomb. Oh, it's their turn to Carpet. Are we trading over Carpet or are we trading over resources? If our game plan is to strip our opponent's mana, we should trade over this. If our game plan is to maybe just deal with their answers. We don't have a line to Loam yet. Okay, I think this is just Tamiyo plus Spellbomb. And if we can get our Tamiyo value going, we should be in a really commanding position. If we can find the life Loam, we can obviously remove this and start pivoting. We can always Withering Command this. A Barrowgoyf. That's a chunky friend, isn't it? We can stop this. It's only 1-2 actually. We can stop this from doing anything, right? We don't have an island. A land would be great here. Not a land. So we can Bowmasters this. If that resolves, we then Spellbomb ourselves. We could also use this. Spellbomb ourselves. No, because then this goes into the graveyard. And they'll be big enough. They have the fetch land, so we can't really get through what they're putting down. Okay, we're going to mill, and we're going to destroy their thing. So we're going to mill ourselves. We're going to blow up this Carpet Flowers. This might get a response from our opponent. They're probably going to get to hit us with... Okay, they didn't get to hit us with... They do get to hit us with a Goyf here. We can shrink it, but not enough to matter here. Okay, I think we're trading cards here. So we get a card off of this Tamiyo. They get a card off of their Barrowgoyf. Now, they might not get a card, but they will get some life. This isn't really a game about life totals. So we're getting an Undercity Sewers. This can make their guy a little bit larger. They're left on top. Really don't want to get beaten by this Barrowgoyf too much. Okay, so they have an Orcish Bowmasters here. We don't get a window to remove that either. So that definitely sucks for us. Could you stop it, opponent, please? Let's crack this. Are we drawing a card or are we surveilling? Are we drawing a card? No, if we surveil, then we cover Uro better. Ponder. That's better than average card. Our carpet not doing as much work as I would have hoped. They might not even do anything about it right now. Let's get this carpet down. I think I do attack with the Tamiyo. Yeah, our opponent's deck, playing all these colours, but it's running like multiple copies of the big Barrowgoyf and things, which I think is where I would want to be. Let's get some blue mana. Let's cast this Ponder. An Orcish Bowmaster of our very own. And some lands to go with it. Sign me up for that. 5 mana gives us 3 mana crack this though. We already have the Bowmaster in hand. Can't remember if we played a land drop or not this turn. We haven't cast a land drop. So I think we actually bury the Bowmasters here. And just go for getting the land drops in so we can cast and crack Explosives next turn with Orcish Bowmasters to keep us going in the meantime. Really not a fan of having to do this one. I guess we ping their face because we may as well. They're going to Bowmasters us. We're going to put this ping on the stack and then we're going to cast this Veil of Summer to protect. Haha. They have a Force of Will. Okay. Do we just take... I don't think we can take this much damage. So next time we get to play and crack our Explosives, which takes out a bunch of their things. There's an Uro over there that they just nabbed right into their hand. There is a life from the Loam as well. We can't shrink this enough so that the 1 point of damage you put on it matters. Okay, let's have this Carpet Flowers. Do we have black mana here? Let's cast this. 1, get black, blue, green. Cast Explosives. Okay, that's something. So we can crack that and take out both their Barrowgoyfs. We know they've got the Uro. I think... I don't really want to just fire this off straight away either. Are they going to life from the Loam back something here? I don't think so. They might do though. I think maybe we can try and catch this Uro. Or at least make it so they're not attacking us with a slightly bigger Bowmasters this turn. So we go to blocks here. Block on this guy. Okay. I'll blow this up. Take out our 2 Barrowgoyfs. We take 1 damage this turn. There is some amount of stability here. I would like to stop their Uro coming down. So we've got a Bowmaster of our very own now. So yes, add black mana. Let's get this guy down. We've got some action here. We're going to see a hard cast Force of Will. We might. We did not. I would like to take out your Orcish Bowmasters, please. Otawara bouncing their Orcish Bowmasters. You got it. I think we're going to take out all the material they've got in their graveyard now. And then what are we going to waste? We've got 1 green source over there, 1 black source, 2 black source, 1 blue source. Okay, we're going to... Taking out this Undercity Sewers makes our carpet worse, which is kind of annoying. I think we just take out mana sources for Uro. And then this sweeps it all up. And we can cast our little friend here. Blue, blue, Ponder, Brainstorm, Brainstorm, with a bloom, Ponder. Massive friend. And then I'm happy to attack with the Tamiyo. Our opponent's hand is Bowmasters, Uro, and Mystery card. I think we've just about navigated our way through. They can't play both sides of their Uro. I think this is actually a good spot to get the Bowmaster that they have in. They get 1 million mana, so they just want lots of green. So this is front side of the Uro, which gives us a ping here. If we ping our opponent's creature, they just play this other guy. I think we just go to the face here to guarantee us a token. Because we can, if we shoot this Orc army, it'll grow so we don't actually remove it. Yep, so here is the Bowmasters, as expected. Ping down my Bowmasters. Grow your friend. Got a land and 1 mystery card in hand. Now we have a very large creature that's attacking. Carpet of Flowers. Let's bash with our huge friend. Do you want another clue? We get a clue, draw a couple of cards. We get a couple of Bowmaster triggers though. I think we just hold back with the Tamiyo for now. Say no to this. I think we do wasteland our opponent though. I think we take them off of green mana. This makes our carpet worse, but we don't really want our carpet to be doing very much right now. We're just in the Murktide Regent beatdown phase of the game. Getting a lot of mana. Okay, they're getting a Brainstorm. Unfortunately, we can't punish that. We could try and draw into a Bowmasters, and that'd be very strong here. But I'd rather crack my clues after our opponent's combat step. Is this going to be enough to get the Uro in? 1, 2, 3. Not quite. an Orcish Bowmaster. So we're going to lose our little Orc army token here. And now the Orc army is going to be big enough to attack into our Tamiyo. Fatal Push. This is very, very good for our opponents. We draw 2 cards, we go to 6, and then the Orc army hits us for 5. I hate this, but I think it's correct. Let's draw a card. Oh, they have 2 Bowmasters, don't they? So we can't actually trigger them both, can we? But maybe we find the removal spell there. Okay, so we can't draw any additional cards. Oh, that's just straight up lethal, wasn't it? That was just a horrible punt on my part. Ugh. I think if we don't draw that card and give them 2 Bowmaster pings, wonder what happens. And then we're just drawing this next turn and we're still behind a fair bit. But maybe we get to turtle up. The problem is at some point they get to bring back the 0. I think our opponent does win this one, but we could have played that last turn a bit cleaner. We're hoping to draw into exactly Bowmasters or Veil of Summer. Alright, on to round number 4. Right, we're into round 4. It's time to turn this whole ship around. How do I feel about this hand? We have a Life from the Loam lock. We have some removal if that's going to be useful. I think this hand seems fine. We only have the 1 lander that taps for colours, but we do have Brainstorm which can find us more things. Verdant Catacombs. What flavour of Verdant Catacombs are we looking at? Another Force of Will. So we have a lot of interaction. We have the Force of Will and the Brainstorm available now. We can also Murderous Cut in a few turns. We've got a Sheoldred's Edict in the meantime. We need to Brainstorm around an Orcish Bowmaster. So I'd like to know what our opponent's up to, because maybe hiding cards is going to be more important than brainstorming around the Bowmasters. We do still have a land drop next turn. It's not like we've got nothing going on. This could be Cradle Control. It's kind of unusual for them not to have a 1-drop play. They also didn't get Surveil Land, which is suggesting maybe something more on the Loam strategy. Okay. We got a Saga. Sure. A Wishclaw Talisman. Okay, so we are Beseech Storm. I think we will go and get ourselves Underground Sea. So now we know what our opponent's playing. We can actually Brainstorm much more effectively. Alrighty. I guess we put back the removal spells. These seem the least useful cards in our deck. And then I will Force of Will this, pitching this Brainstorm. We have a second Force of Will ready to go here. We can go Shields down and ponder trying to find a blue card. But we're really trying to find a land drop here. I think I will cast this Ponder. A Daze is okay, but we can't keep these cards. That is exactly what we were looking to draw for next turn. I will still get in with my Wasteland right now. So we don't have a blue card yet. But I think finding the land is more important. If we'd have just had that pile of 3 cards on top of our library and had to deal with it, we definitely lose that game. Whereas this way, we at least have the option to just loam our opponent into the dirt over a few turns. We can get a Bowmasters down. So we could Bowmasters or we could loam this turn. I think getting the Bowmasters down and just starting to pressure our opponent is where we want to be going on our next turn. If we draw a Wasteland, they will snap it off because our opponent missed their land drop. Do we want to show them green mana? I don't think we do. So next turn, our Loam gets us back 2 Polluted Deltas and a Wasteland. We need our opponent to not do anything too scary for a turn or 2. Just get another Force of Will ready to go for us, please. This is going to be very different to all the games we've played so far. We've been in Grindtown a bit. Here is a Chrome Mox. It's going to put them down to 5 cards in hand. Was that a Duress that's gone underneath it? That suggests that they might have another Duress here. An Infernal Tutor. What are you going to reveal to me? Is it another a Dark Ritual? So they have 2 Dark Rituals in their hand. So maybe the mana denial plan isn't the best thing we can be doing anymore. Another Orcish Bowmasters. I don't think we need to loam now. We can loam next turn. And just hold up the Bowmasters to get more pressure in. This also allows us to surveil land. Not finding another blue card for this Force is probably going to be our downfall, I would imagine. But hopefully they just need like another turn or 2 set up. A Lotus Petal. Okay. Looks like we're going. They could almost certainly put an Ad Nauseam on the stack, so maybe the ping from the Bowmasters will surprise them. A Veil of Summer. I think I will get a Bowmasters in response, ping their face, and then die to their combo. Okay, you have your Veil of Summer. So we get our Bowmaster pings from Veil. This makes our guy bigger, because we can target it. It deals damage and puts a counter on at the same time, so it will never be able to kill the Orc army. But it means that we're going to be set for maybe a 2-turn clock here. Or getting close to it. 3 mystery cards. So they got 3 mana, 4, 5, 6 mana. So they can ad nauseum. They could also get a Beseech the Mirror on the stack. Here is a bargain Beseech the Mirror. Just a guy's will. I believe that's going to be lethal there. So you've got 2 mana, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They play the Chrome Mox, the Beseech. Storm count is certainly high enough. We did not get there, but we got some consigns which are nice in this matchup because we can blank the Urza Saga building, or we can blank the Tutor, or we can blank a Storm Trigger. So that's a lot of stuff. So I'd like access to this and this. If they're playing stuff out, I don't hate this. I don't mind hitting their graveyard either. Veil of Summer can protect us from some of their interaction. I don't think we want any removal spells, so these will come out. There's a lot of junk we're taking out of our deck there. Baleful Strix is a blue card, but not very exciting. This can blow up stuff they play out. There's another Sheoldred's Edict I missed. Still 3 cards to come out. Narset is fine. Dress Down isn't really what we want to be doing. Although, again, it is a blue card. I think we should be okay on blue card front. Let's just make sure we check that. Yeah, we're going to be super fine for blue cards. Is Uro too slow? We probably don't want to be loaming that much. Can we just cut the loam and just keep the Witherbloom commands? We want stuff that pressures. These do apply some amount of pressure. Are we overboarding all of this? Maybe we don't need the extraction. Sorry, the explosives. This, if they have a pivot into empty the Warrens, this can deal with it though. Which is not something we can deal with any other cards. I guess we have Tamiyo. We can brainstorm Tamiyo. How likely are they to play a bunch of stuff out? We haven't shown them any hand disruption. This can also blow up like Wishclaw Talismans in a pinch. The Narset digs quite well, but they're not drawing extra cards very much. I think it's an Uro. The reason being, Baleful Strix sets up for Kaito, and that's our quickest way of clocking our opponent. I really like our spread of win conditions here. I just want more Murktide Regents all the time. It's just such a good card. Well, we don't die to their Storm stuff, but we don't play Magic, so we have to mulligan. This is a hand you would keep against useful spells, but not against Storm. Okay, this hand seems perfectly reasonable. I think we maybe just keep all the blue cards. Been off the Bowmasters. Give ourselves maximum ability to do stuff here. So we can cast every card in our hand. Okay, let's begin with Svelland. Our opponent is down to 5 cards. I don't think we need a Brainstorm right here. We're looking for additional land drops. Putting more stuff in the graveyard means if we draw a Murktide or an Uro, they're more likely to come online quicker. We can just do the Tamiyo to the moon plan. If we find a land this turn. Did not find a land this turn. I think we are supposed to get... Are we supposed to get Tamiyo or are we supposed to ponder? We could Brainstorm here. And then we could shuffle with a ponder. Okay, let's Brainstorm. Find a land, then we can also drop a Tamiyo or hold up Consign. Oh. Well. Well. It's a real doozy, isn't it? I guess we put these 2 on top. So our opponent thoughts these us, I don't want them to know about it. If they Cabal Therapy us a name Force of Will, then we can just pack up our little tent and leave. Some days it's just not your day. Vault of Whispers. Please don't Cabal Therapy me. They did not Cabal Therapy me. Now we get to untap with this Veil of Summer up. Oh no, we're going to second main and we're playing a Wishclaw Talisman. I would like to interact with your Wishclaw Talisman, please. So we have Force of Will and Consign left. We could have pitched the Tamiyo or the Ponder, but I think we're probably going to want those cards. We also want the Consign on top of our library, so we might just be sat here doing nothing. It's either that or we Ponder looking for an answer. Because we only got 1 Force, so I'm just going to hold up this Veil of Summer. We did Brainstorm lock ourselves. If we'd have cast Ponder, that wouldn't have happened. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. We're odds on to hit a land. Didn't quite get that. I'm not going to Consign a Mox Opal. Floating it back, but then doing nothing with it. We just pass. So next time we get to look at a fresh card. And then we can Ponder looking for a land. They know our hand is just absolutely stacked with interaction. Because what else is going to be in it at this point? Seiji. Opponent thought for a while. They appear to be just passing. I'd like to find a land here. Okay, a Daze. I guess we Ponder looking for that land. It's a land, but it's not one for our colours. So I think this is actually in any order in shuffle. We did find the land. That is pretty good news for us. We're not going to play out this. We're going to hold up our Consigns and our Veil. I think it's going to be hard for us to lose from this position. And at some point we can win the game. Consign gets through Veil of Summer. We don't have another Surveil land, so there's no point cracking this right now. I'm cracking it now just so that our mana is available. And I do want to hold up the green here, so this probably gets us the Underground Sea. Now we can deploy the Tamiyo, holding up Veil of Summer. We can start accruing some clues and pulling ahead. An Urza's Saga. I will probably consign the Making Guys trigger next turn. In comes Tamiyo. So this trigger on, we're going to consign this. I don't want you making big boys. A Wish Claw Talisman. Is this something we fight over? It's getting sketchier. I think we let this one go weirdly. And then try and bottleneck them with a Daze. Also this consign in our hand. Plus the Veil of Summer gives us a lot of work. We want them to go all in on something, which is why we've left the Wish Claw Talisman unavailable. Here comes a Chromox. Because we don't care about hand disruption. We don't care about Veil of Summer. We care about both, I guess, together. Which gets a bit awkward, doesn't it? So we have a Wish Claw Talisman, and they have any card they wish from their deck in their hand. A Thought Seize. Our opponent's got 2 cards in hand. They have green mana up. If we Veil of Summer this, we don't get to consign, so that we lose to Veil of Summer here. So I think we are actually going to just counterspell this, pitch in the Tamiyo. That way we still have Veil of Summer and consign to memory up. A Dark Ritual. Okay. You're going to go all in for me, opponent. I'd appreciate that a great deal. A Beseech the Mirror. How do we navigate this one? If we Daze this, they only have 2 mana left, but they already have the Dark Ritual. 4 mana, 5, 6, 7 off of the Lion's Eye Diamond still. They're going to be able to Thought Seize us is the problem. Okay, so this is going to be Guy as well. So if we'd have taken the other line and Veil of Summer the Thought Seize and held the counterspell for this, we would have been able to beat our opponent, but I don't think we get to win on this line. Trying to play around too many things. Trying to cast their graveyard, and I think we're just dead. We could have sequenced it differently. We could have used the Veil of Summer to protect. It's kind of what it's there for. Thought Seize. I will cast Veil of Summer now, I guess. If we had cast this earlier, it would have been better, but now we don't have the consign. But maybe this gets through the Tendrils line, and that's enough. By forcing them to go all in, maybe they just can't actually kill us, because Tendrils can't target us this turn. Whereas they don't go all in if that Thought Seize just gets veiled. So maybe this ends up being the right play. Engine Explosives. Let's hope this Hexproof from black does the job. We can just F6 from here. They can play out their Wish Claw Talisman and Mox Opal and Lion's Eye Diamond. They can probably Beseech the Mirror just as a Demonic Tutor. Or a Diabolic Tutor, I suppose. So they can use the Wish Claw Talisman, sorry, the Dark Ritual. That would put them up to 4 mana, so they can play out just the Beseech, or they can play the Wish Claw out. Oh, they got 5 mana here, right? They still don't have enough to do it all. 5 mana. I don't know if they can get through what we've got down here. It's up to our opponent to figure out and us to hope for the best. They did cast this with Bargain. Do they have like a single Song of Creation? Just sit that in play and that's pretty strong. I don't think we have a way of blowing that up that we can tutor for. Not that I want to give them another Demonic Tutor for 1 mana available to them. I'm just looking for their deck to see if they have a way around what we're doing. Like that Chromox was doing something. It was part of their Metalcraft. So they could have done this without the Bargain and kept it. Our opponent says they misplayed. Their deck is not easy to play, so I can blow up these 2 pieces of mana, or I can just hold up my interaction, which is probably the correct play here. A Powder Keg would look really good in this board because it would take out the Vault of Whispers as well as these. I think Engine Explosives is the way we actually want to be, though. Okay, so we're set back to holding some permission. We're just going to be drawing cards at the end of turn if our opponent doesn't do anything. Maybe our line of holding the Veil of Summer right until the end was actually genius. They do get to tutor here. But what are they going to tutor? Something that we can blow up with an Engine Explosives, perhaps. If we draw another land, then we can play Explosives and crack it. We lose one of our clues because we're going to draw a card in a second. But that's okay. A Wish Claw Talisman. I don't really like the Wish Claw Talisman that much. Let's Force of Negation this. I could have a Veil. They did not have a Veil. Is that going to be the end of your turn there? Looks like it. So we get to draw a card, untap, draw a card for turn, and hopefully somewhere in those 2 we'll find a land. Not a land. Also not a land. I will cast a Ponder though. Looking for the land. This is certainly not the first time that we've been just wanting more lands that we could draw. Okay, I'll bury the Swamp and have the Wasteland, because the Wasteland can help us still. We're probably just cracking this clue though. We have Consign plus Veil to get through this next turn. We could play an end of turn Bowmasters just to start a clock going. Or we could draw another card. That means we're shuffling away a land, and I would like to draw a land. So it's just a hard cast Beseech as a tutor. 5 mana. An ad nauseum, you say. You've got it. I think between Veil and Consign together, they can't beat this. There is a Tendrils of Agony. Surprised I didn't crack both their Lions Like Diamonds in response. If they go to 1 life, we might just be able to Bowmaster them. Well, that's a bit sketchy when they have Veil of Summer, actually. They've gone to 4 life. There is a Lions Like Diamond. Here is a Lotus Petal. Here is a Carpet of Flowers. They have a lot of mana in their second main phase. Enjoy yourself, opponent. I assume this makes black mana. A Dark Ritual. I assume we're going to get Thoughtseize quite soon. At least make them spend the mana on it. A Duress. I will cast a Veil of Summer. These Veils doing a lot of work for us. Our opponent's not very happy. I don't know how they win through this. Okay, they brought it out Burning Wish and Empty the Warrens. GG's. Okay, so this is only game 2 though. They might just be able to keep a hand that can kill us on the following turn though. Because they've got plenty of mana. I think there's a way they kill us next turn actually. Tendrils. Infernal Tutor. Chrome Mox. Yeah, they need a little bit more Dark Ritual type stuff. But if they just play out their Talisman. Yep. And they're probably going to keep this Thoughtseize in hand. So we're unlikely to get what we need. We also have the Wasteland that we had on top of our library before. So now we can shuffle this. So I'm printing the Infernal Tutor. They got rid of the Chrome Mox. They can turn this into a Dark Ritual next turn. And then they can Infernal Tutor for another Dark Ritual. Let's crack this now. I think we probably just want a Trop. We could get a Bayou so we sort of round out our things. But I think the Trop is just better here. We don't have Thoughtseize in our deck. Which is one of the reasons you might want to get things a little bit differently. So they're going to have to discard some cards. If we draw Kaito, we can send in the Kaito, put our opponent to 1. I don't think that's worth tutoring up the Kaito for. If our opponent was on 3, then we could have the win there. I don't think we have any way of just dealing 4 damage to our opponent. So we've got another land. We don't have another Veil of Summer, so we can't just shoot one up. Oh, I meant to attack there. That was a little dip on my computer's processing power for a second. If we do this, we go out of range of what we need. We don't have another Veiler, which is the one thing I could tutor here. I could play Explosives and pop it, and we don't get to draw a card then. Goodbye, Clue tokens. Do we hamper their mana? I don't think we do. I think we just play out this, and maybe they go on a lower life total at some point. So not attacking with Tamiyo didn't really cost anything, we just blew up the things anyway, but we can at least see if our opponent does anything about it. Seems very unlikely given their deck. So they get to have lots of mana, so that's not the problem for them. There's a Saga. We have that covered next turn. I'd like to get our creature in and start beating down if possible. Another Carpet of Flowers. So their second main phase is going to be all the manas, all the times. They're saying no to these. That is amazing news for us because that wins us the game. So we get this, we play this guy. This gives us 3 damage, then we can Wishclaw Talisman for the 4th. Where is our Orcish Bowmaster? There it is. Send this in. This gives us exactly enough. Well, it gives us slightly more than enough damage actually, right? Okay, we tied it up. It took a lot of work. And I thought we were going to lose this whole time. And we managed to pull it out. Well, I thought we were going to win. And then I thought, oh no, we're definitely going to lose now. It's a real roller coaster. They did mention Empty the Warrens, but they've seen our Engine Explosives, so they're less likely to want to do that anyway. I think what we have here is fine, and we're just going to roll with it. We have a Force. We have a Veil. These are really good cards to have in the matchup. This has to be getting us a Trop, but I think that's fine. This is obviously a great turn 1 Thoughtseize that our opponent can get off. If they can combo us out on turn 1, then they get us as well. If they have to go all in on something and they just get clipped by this Force of Will, I can live with that. The Wishclaw Talisman. Are we supposed to fight over this? I think we probably are. We're just about to get bodied by something coming off this Lions Like Diamond. This deck doesn't run Echo of Eons, so we don't have to worry about that at least. We can Brainstorm to protect our hand, Veil of Summer to protect our hand, and we have Stifle to stop a whole host of scary things out there. This can be a Hedge Maze if we get the opportunity. It could also be a Brainstorm for velocity off of a tropical island. Dark Ritual. with 1 mana floating. So 4 mana total. What is the next play? A Beseech the Mirror. Seems pretty good. There's not any hand disruption over there, so we can just stifle the Storm Trigger at the end of this chain. That's what we're planning to do. We could also Veil of Summer the Storm Trigger at the end of the chain. Guys, Will, you got it. Mox Opal. They have 3 mana left over from the LED, so they can cast some spells here. Do they have enough to duress us first? Dark Ritual. Storm Counter is not lethal just yet, but it's getting there. They can do some like Beseech Chains. 9 mana. It's a lot of mana. They're going to peer into the abyss after this Wish Claw. They might. They can turn this Wish Claw into an LED to get more mana. So effectively go up 2 mana by doing that. And then they'll have 5 mana, which is enough to Beseech Chain their way to victory. Like, they can probably just Beseech Chain their way to victory regardless. And then we have to decide if we're using a Stifle or a Veil of Summer. If they obviously target our hand with any hand disruption, we can fire them with the Veil. They might just go for Empty the Warrens here. A Dark Ritual. Cast Dark Ritual. So they can go crack this Wishful Talisman now. This gives them the lethal. Then they're going to be very upset with our Stifle here. A Duress with 1 card in hand. Okay. So crack this to get our Tropical Island. Fire in with this. This means that our opponent is going to Beseech the Mirror for the Empty the Warrens. If that's for the last card that they boarded back in. Because they mentioned they didn't have it last time. Oh, sorry, they boarded out Burning Wish. So they just might not have it. Okay, we did just get it. Oh, we needed a win there. This league has been awkward for us, but the Veil of Summer's looked incredibly good there. We are 1-3, so we go to the final round and see if we can get some pity points back by getting a 2-3. I did say we were turning it around last round, and we did manage to do that, so let's see if we can do it again. Okay, our opener for the final round is another 1-lander. Really struggling with the mana with this deck. We have Surveil, which can maybe find a land, and then we have a Ponder. I think we keep this. I am aware that we can just get completely blown out. Misty Rainforest. We are not going to get completely blown out. We can get partially blown out, that's always fun. Okay, Meticulous Archive, dueling against our Hedge Maze. What next? I think we are playing this Ponder. So I played this so you can play around a Daze, but I don't think our opponent is going to Daze it, so we probably shouldn't have played it that way around. I would like this Orcish Bowmasters in my hand, which is a general rule, and I quite like this land underneath as well. But we can get the land using a Brainstorm, but if they have their own Bowmasters, then we have to go for a weird little fight, don't we? Let's put the Brainstorm on top still, and put the Bowmaster into our hand. We get to keep the Bowmasters, which is a pretty good one. And next turn we can Brainstorm and make the Bowmasters. Okay, we got Bants. This is quite possibly the Bant Beans deck that is probably the best control deck in the format right now. Let's go for a Brainstorm here. Then we can push this Murktide Regent down. We're not about that just yet. I don't like how our opponent's pausing on this. Tamiyo is whatever. Do we want this Regent? Do I want this Stifle? Murderous Cut is very good against Failure, which is something that I am worried about our opponent having in a sec. We already have the Fatal Push to cover that though. So I think we can put that away. Put this one out. Maybe drop a Tamiyo. Just want another Trop, make it easier for us when we get there with the Euro. We have black mana locked down with this Swamp anyway. So how do I deal with this Failure when it comes down? Do I Daze it or do I push it? Daze obviously can hit more things, but is running out of usefulness as time goes by. We get 2 shots if we do Daze this though, right? So if we Daze this and it doesn't work for some reason, then we can also remove it. We don't want our opponent to be able to stick a Failure and then start doing horrible things with it. Misty Rainforest. And a pass. Could be another Failure. I guess we'll find out. Let's play out the land they know about. So we can hold up Bowmasters and Stifle, or Stifle and Fatal Push. If we play out the Bayou, we can hold up more things, but our opponent has better information. Maybe we're supposed to just play out the Bayou there. Once we start amassing clues, I think we're in a good spot though. I would like to not have to deal with Up the Beanstalk anytime soon. Failure could have been a tester to see what they could push through and see if they could get a force out of our hand before trying to drop a Beanstalk. They didn't drop a Beanstalk the turn after the Failure was attempted, which suggests to me they don't have it. Unless they're just going to play another Failure here. There is a Failure. I would like to Fatal Push your Failure. Would I stifle this fetch land? I could stifle this fetch land or I could crack this clue. Which of these is better? I think we just let the fetch land go. We can stifle a leyline binding activation or a triggered ability rather than activation, and that would be a lot better for us. And up the beanstalk. I think I'm going to draw a card off of our clue token here. I think we're going to get buried by the superior control deck is what's going to actually happen this particular match. Bowmaster is definitely one of our ways of getting through this. Ugh. Okay, so the Quantum Riddler draws 2 for 2 mana because it triggers the beanstalk and it has its own ability. It's a pretty good turn there, opponent. And now we have to try and resolve some spells, which might be very difficult to do. We've got a clue, so at least we've got this going for us. We can Bowmasters their next attempt at drawing extra cards. Yeah, this deck is just banned, but it splashes like one Xander's Lounge to make Leyline Binding easier to cast. If it's the particular list I think it is. Okay, Orcish Bowmasters. It's your time to shine. A Force of Will, and I'm willing to fight over this Force of Will. I think so. Let's see if we can find a Force of our own. We didn't. So now I think this game is unwinnable for us. Our opponent just has an engine set up and more cards in hand. We don't have any pressure to try and get in underneath what our opponent's doing. Their pressure is actually better in their deck than ours, as a general rule. Because they've got like Felliers and stuff which can come down and then blink this, and all of a sudden they got 6 power out of nowhere. Here's a Ponder. Our opponent might have Endurances in their deck, so they can't deck before us as well. Let's go and get our clue. Cast a Ponder. Feels a little bit late to be trying to Witherbloom command away their Beanstalk. But it's probably the correct play, to be honest. And green. Let's get this Beanstalk dealt with. It's already drawn them like 3 cards, so it's been exceptional for them. Okay, Force of Will. Let's draw a card. Thanks for that, I guess. If I Ponder, we can flip this, but they're almost certainly going to have an answer. Whereas if we hold back the Stifle, it can at least answer one of their answers. Force some action out of our opponent, maybe try and get them with a Barrowgoyf. Okay, let's Ponder here. We know there's 2 lands on top of our library now as well, which we're not particularly enthralled about having. I think the time for Wasteland is gone. We could just take this Misty Rainforest. Flip our Tamiyo. Here comes the Swords to Plowshares. Sure, that's not one we could have answered anyway. Fair enough. And we can shuffle away our lands on top of our library now. Just go and get something better for next turn, hopefully. It looks like we're relatively even because we have a clue. We've got a certain amount of cards in hand. The issue is they have Beanstalk, so it's very easy for them to just make all these cards cantrip in their hand. But it is possible they sort of run out of steam. If they're not drawing things that trigger Beanstalk. Okay, looks like we're getting hit by a big old Murktide Regent. Well, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? Yeah, I think our opponents just got better threats in their deck as well. I think like the Fellier, Quantum Riddler stuff is... They got better engines and they got better threats. Do I need to stop this? We can guaranteed kill this with our Sheoldred's Edict. So I'm kind of okay to let this one slide. Try and answer on the backside. Are they going to activate it? They are indeed. We do this in our turn. Not that it really matters. Let's go and get ourselves an Underground Sea, I think, here. Fatal Push. I would like you to sacrifice a Planeswalker of your choice. And then I would like to play a Barrowgoyf. Now, they're a white deck, so answering Barrowgoyf should be relatively easy for them. But this will win the race, because we'll be taking 3 a turn, they'll be taking 4. They do get the first hit in, though, so they'll have to do some maths along the way. But, yeah, and up the Beanstalk here. Playing is very much on the wall. All their cards interact with us and draw them a bonus card. The entire game just becomes about Beanstalk in these sort of slower games. Because we don't have a lever to go underneath our opponent, it means we don't get to like challenge them before they're set up. We have to deal with them in a way that they don't get set up, if that makes sense. Okay, our opponent's got more delicious action for us. Now they're playing the Quantum Riddler. I think we can just see the writings on the wall here. We don't have a way of coming back from this. We need to make use of our clock. We could try and drain our opponent's clock, but that's not very fun to watch, and it's not very fun to do, so we're not going to do that. Okay. I don't know what we have that's actually good against our opponent's deck. Carpet Flowers. That seems good. Caracas, being able to bounce the Fellier is something. Kaito is one of our big plays here. I like the Narset. I don't think the Daze is going to get much use. Any explosives kills Tamiyo, so I think we want to keep that around. I don't think we need this many. Like Fatal Push is only really killing the Tamiyo, the failure. So I think this looks slightly better. We're going to hit more of our land drops. Do I want all these Force of Wills? We need to make sure Beanstalk doesn't become a part of this game. How do we do that? We have to keep enough Force of Wills to hit Beanstalk, otherwise you lose the game. Baleful Strix isn't that good, but it's just a free object that kind of does something on the way through, can stop them Murktiding us down, maybe. It's not a great thing for them to failure away. Oh, this matchup looks horrible. Like, Consigns can stop some of their spooky bits and pieces. So we can stop the triggers on, like, Leyline Binding and stuff. Maybe we do want the Daze. Burst Down stops Murktide. It was bugged online for a while, but hopefully they fixed that now. Alright, we'll just submit like this. I can see having a Daze over a Force or whatever. But our opponent doesn't really have the graveyard, so we can't leverage Null Spellbombs that much. Like, sure, we may be able to stop them getting a Murktide, but whatever. Couple of Forces. This doesn't really play. We need to do something early on. Okay. I like this Bowmasters draw quite a lot. I think we get rid of the Edict here. We keep the Edict and get rid of the Push. The Push is more mana efficient. But the Sheoldred's Edict can hit either side. Okay. Either side of Tamiyo can get taken out by that. We will play this out in case we want to stifle a fetch land of our opponents. Maybe that ends up winning us the game in a roundabout fashion. I think I'm willing to take that cheese. No fetch land. We don't have a black Surveil land, so we're not going to fetch that here. A Bayou. We can wasteland our opponent here, though. That is a plan. I will sign up for that plan. Cycling Lorien Revealed. Let's get... Is it Underground Sea or is it Tropical Island now? I think it's Underground Sea. I'm going to stifle this. Choosing maybe our way forward, and I'm not beneath doing that. Like, I would keep a one land hand with Lorien Revealed. That seems fine. I think we're just going to Bowmaster our opponent. Okay, I didn't play into it. We could have at least got something if they tried to Beanstalk. Well, I didn't Brainstorm over the top of it, so that's good news as well. We ponder here into a land, we can play the Baleful Strix. I like the Kaito a lot. We don't have the land to make it work. I think this is an any orange shuffle. Found the land. Okay, we can do that after we've attacked. I think we just get the trop now, so we have one of each of all of our things. And that ends up working well for us. So, black and blue. They're not going to interact with the Strix. It's so meaningless in the grand scale of things. Now, we're happy to have it. It gives us a bit more down. Oh, they are going to interact with it, though. Wow. That's a Force of Will being used before they get a Beanstalk down. Ah, now we see why. Now they're going to blink out our token. But we have this covered. The issue here is if our opponent just plays the Sphinx and blinks that, then we're behind in a game that we were winning massively. Which is not the best. Okay, they're just going to blink out our guy. That's kind of best case scenario here. Goodbye, Wakami. What are the modes of this one? No, we didn't get to look at hands with this one, do we? I think I mentioned that being able to look at hands earlier with this, which isn't true. This is not Collective Brutality. My brain is just not with it today. So we can drain life and get a land back. That seems okay. This gets us a wasteland, which takes off of green mana, which I hope is going to be really annoying for them. Oh, we found a life from the Loam as well, so we can actually assemble the Loam block, which is one of the best things we can do in our deck. A Leyline Binding. Goodbye, Orcish Bowmasters. Hopefully goodbye, Failure. And now we're going to be in dredging, Loam, wasting them. Right, they missed on land, so I will 100% dredge as Loam. Let's get back. Wasteland, Hedge Maze, and Fetch Land of some description. Pretty good target for a Force of Negation. Just take out one of your mana sources. It did have a failure, though. We can take a hit from this and then wipe it out with the removal we have. It feels like we're just going to be treading water until they can get an engine going. They could blink out the binding and give us an Orc army to make their guy bigger, but obviously then we get Orc army stuff and kill this, and it goes horribly for our opponents. So that's not what they're going to do. We don't need to dredge that yet, do we? Stifle kind of is what it is. Let's have a little look with this Hedge Maze. A Wasteland. I will put that into the graveyard so we can just get it back in a sec anyway. We want to do this in our opponent's upkeep in case they have Force of Negation here. I think they probably would have Force of Negation our life and Loam, but they could have drawn it this turn cycle. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature of their choice. So, black mana and this, and then we can hold up Stifle for a fetch land. No getting basics for you, opponent. You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Alright, We managed to cheese our way through a game. The problem is, our opponent gets to be on the draw for game 3. And I think their deck is just better than us, to be honest with you. How much do we need to fight over these beanstalks? An enormous amount, I think, is the correct answer. Now, these can answer beans, but they already get a little value from it. This can mess with beanstalk on the stack as well. Do I need dress down that much? I think maybe the dress down becomes a force. We really can't afford to get hit by beanstalk. As soon as the beanstalk comes down, all of our trades are down. And that's just not a good way to win a game of Magic the Gathering. No lands, you have to mulligan this one. Kaito is a very good threat, and Brainstorm can fix a bunch of holes. The double wasteland might be able to get us another cheese game. I think we're keeping it. We probably put back the cut, or it's probably the cut. We have other removal spells. We only have one Kaito. If we ever stick this Kaito, it might be able to get through our opponent's interaction. Can't wasteland that. So we get Hedge Maze with this one. That seems reasonable. Our opponent has the big bonus of being a control deck that also wants to keep its forces in after like boarding against a matchup where it wants to go 1-for-1 because of how powerful Beanstalk is. Alright, they have 2 basic lands. So the double wasteland cheese is off. An Uro. He likes being in the graveyard, doesn't he? That's his home. He can go into his home. Ponder. I think I want to brainstorm these wastelands back into the deck. Okay, yeah, put back the wastelands. Makes sense to me. We play this, we crack this, get an underground C, or do we just get another trop here? I think we get a trop actually. And then we're gonna ponder, then our opponent's gonna play a failure, and then they're gonna do the warpy thing, and we're gonna be dead. Okay, this is a good selection of cards. I think the order is more or less fine. So we can get both the business spells we want for next turn anyway. And we can choose between them. Here comes failure. We're trying to dodge Quantum Riddler this turn. I think if they play Quantum Riddler and then blink it, we are in heaps of trouble. Yeah, so the Quantum Riddler the Quantum Riddler failure thing is just like having a second set of Beanstalk in your deck in terms of the amount of card advantage that can provide. Obviously, failure blinking a Beanstalk is pretty gratuitous as well. Yep, so this turn our opponent gets to draw 2 extra cards and make a 4/6 for 2 mana. That is better than all the things we're doing, isn't it? We could try and fight this using a Bowmaster, or we could try and fight this using our Murderous Cut. We can't do both until next turn. So next turn we have a land on top of our library. So next turn, if we want to do that, if they blink this out, we ping in once, then this comes back in, they draw a card, we ping it for a second time. That's not enough to kill it. If we Murderous Cut, we're not doing anything else with our turn cycle. We could play this Narset. I think I'm going to go for the Bowmasters, because then we also get a body that we can use for Kaito, potentially. They might not even blink anything here. They might just say, I would like to hit you for 7 this turn. Which is perfectly viable. I don't think playing the Barrowgoyf here makes the most sense. I've got a Misty. You really want another one of these, do you? If we ping our opponent here... So if we ping our opponent's failure, they can blink out our guy. But then they don't get the Riddler then. And the Riddler goes away. We put the point of pain here. Yeah, I think that's what we need to do to force our opponent to make worse decisions. Like, there's still good decisions for our opponent, unfortunately. Ah, Plow. Well, that seems terrible for us. So now they're going to have 12 power in play at the end of turn 4 in a control deck. Yikes. We don't have anything even remotely approximating that. I guess we could have got our little block in, but maybe this can attack and give us a Kaito. Seems unlikely though. Okay, I guess we... what do we even cut here? The failure is the thing that's controlling the board, so I think we just get rid of this. Okay, so we managed to take the failure out. And it looks like they're F6'd, so maybe this is a turn to get a Barrowgoyf in. They can hit us for 8, but then we can come back in, get the Kaito going. Kaito can lock down one of these guys, and then we're not dead on the next swing. And then we just need to find an answer for the next one. And we also get a little bit of life in the process, which maybe buys us another turn to find an answer. This is all just to manage our opponent's board, let alone the 5 cards in their hand. Ah, your carpet flowers. Why shouldn't my opponent have all the mana in the world? So they're going to have, what, 6 mana post main phase, so they could just play another Riddler. That'll beat us. I don't think we're going to get explosives, engineer explosives for 5 anytime soon. Okay, so just pondering away. But we are growing our Barrowgoyf. This will be a sorcery, so that will put it up to 4 power, which is enough to wash out a single Quantum Riddler hit. With Kaito, we lock down a Quantum Riddler. The other Quantum Riddler kills the Kaito. And we've bought time, but the direction of travel is still the same. Oh, they've got a Narset of their own. Pretty good. Now we're getting some more cantrip. They're just trying to find a removal spell, I think. Okay, the plan is what the plan is here, I think. So this comes at their face, this comes into the Narset, and then we try and blink it and turn it into a Kaito. And then we lock down a guy. So this attacks them, this attacks Narset. And then our little Orc army can become a Kaito here. Okay, so we get a Barrowgoyf hit here. Something like a Tamiyo, that's fine. I was going to say something like a Baleful Strix would have been nice. So now this has to stun one of these, I guess. Play this out, deploy this Tamiyo, which we can chump block with if we want to keep our Kaito around. And then our clock is pretty fierce here. This is what? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're going to take out our Uro. That's 2 life. They're almost dead on board here. Now, they do have 3 cards in hand. We don't have an Uro to fall back on if this little plan of ours doesn't work, but it doesn't need to work when we've got this. Also, the timing on that is weird. You could do it in our turn if you're worried about us drawing stuff to make the Uro happen. You could do it in the draw step, because in case we draw another Uro, you get to take a card for free. Or do it on your turn just before you want to cast a spell that you really want to resolve and make sure that the coast is clear. If you're paying life for it anyway. Oh, you're playing another one of these annoying guys. Okay. It is annoying. This presumably comes with the Kaito. I'd rather have a Kaito than this Tamiyo right now, so I'm going to block and preserve the Planeswalker here. Oh, don't kill my guy as well. Oh, opponent. Why are you treating me like this? Thought we were friends. Okay, goodbye Barrowgoyf. And this game is over now. They have lethal damage in play, although this isn't untapping, so it's not quite lethal. We can tap down another guy at the cost of like all of our stuff. Okay, blue. Colourless blue. Get a Narset in. Okay, they had a Force of Will for that, pitching Quantum Riddler. Okay, if we still had this Barrowgoyf, we could tap this down, get in with the Barrowgoyf, and then it puts our opponent kind of in check. But now we don't get to do that. They did pay 1 life, so this will draw us a card. Do we need to just tap this guy down though? How are we ever winning this game? That is a real question. I could Surveil 2 and draw a card. Or I could tap this down. We need to Surveil, maybe get like a Murktide or something going. Engine Explosives. I don't have the mana to make this work, so we're going to have to Surveil both of these. And we've drawn a land. I guess we're going to... We could drain life here. Puts up to 12, which isn't a great increment given our opponent's bits and pieces here. If I mill, we could hit into another... No, we can't hit into another row because they've got rid of them all. Here I am going to drain life here. Should blow this up. Get a little rubbish drain life off. I think we are dramatically outclassed in this matchup for sure. I'm not attacking with this. We can at least soak up some damage this turn. We need like Maelstrom Pulse. Just blow up all these Riddlers. Good old Maelstrom Pulse. So both of these, all 3 of these triggers, so they've just gone up to 5 cards in hand. So they drew 4 cards off of their draw step this turn. Again, how are we ever supposed to beat this? I don't think we do. Like, we have to cheese them, which is what we managed to do in game 2, but this game, not so much. And they assembled an engine. Our engine cards are like Uro and Kaito, which are harder to set up. Alright, so I assume they're going to kill Kaito. Like, they can do whatever they want. They've got plenty of life to work with when we haven't got any threat. They got loads of cards. Just doing their thing. Another land. Okay, we got absolutely buried by that one. So that is the end of the match and the league. We finished 1-4 with this deck. We had a few, like, 1-2s on there, like the Strifo pile in this last control deck. But I just think on average we're getting outclassed by the control decks. Let's talk about this list. So for me personally, I do not like this deck at all. I think when you have cards as powerful as Tamiyo, why are we not maxing this out? This is one of the cards that can, like, compete with the likes of Beanstalk and stuff like that in terms of being able to draw us cards and shape the game. Why are we just running 2 copies of it? Like, if it's the best card that everyone thinks probably needs to be banned at some point, why are we not just running more of it? Also, why do we have 1 Barrowgoyf? That's such a strange number. It just means that we can't depend on our threats because we don't know which one we're going to get, which does change how the game plan works. I'd rather just have more of the stuff that works. Like, having all these little one-off numbers is not great. We don't have like ways of tutoring for them. Yes, we have cantrips. We can try and sculpt or draw that way. And it's nice to say, okay, well, I've got this Narset in my deck, so that can be an out if they have the 1 ring. And, you know, it's nice to have all these tools. But it means that our game plan is really inconsistent because we don't know what selection of cards we're drawing. It's not like where you're like, okay, I can trade with a bunch of stuff here and I know that I'm just going to be able to dump a Murktide and it's going to be huge. It's like, okay, we trade a bunch of resources and then what? Like Barrowgoyf is fine after doing that sort of stuff as well. But it's not the same as Murktide and plays out slightly differently as well. Now, it should be said that Pokemoki is a pretty good deck builder and they love operating in the bug space. They were like the inventor of Bug Beans, I think it was, which is like a precursor to this. And honestly, I think Bug Beans is better because it had this powerful Bug Beanstalk engine. And we just don't have the Beanstalk. And we got outclassed by Beanstalk quite badly. So another thing about this deck, like I was saying, like he's a good deck builder. But this deck is built for him. This is not built for me. This is not how I would build this deck. And I haven't played enough games with this deck to work out why all the numbers are the way they are. Now, it might just be that this is a little bit too lost in the sauce and there's like a bit too many like random things going on here. Like Stifle is a kind of weird inclusion. I also found that we had a little bit of trouble with our mana. Now, maybe that was just variance. We only played 5 games at the end of the day, and maybe if you play like 50, it ends up being fine, and we just happen to go on the lower end a few times. But we have a relatively powerful selection of things that we're doing here. I just want to be maxing out on my best cards a bit more than we're doing here. When we're playing against other control decks, it felt like we weren't able to apply any pressure, but then their control games were better than ours. That is a really worrying thing to see. Because I think against Grixis and stuff, you know, Barrowgoyfs can be pretty good because they can't necessarily answer them that easily. They can obviously Pyroblast your Murktides, but they can't do that much about Barrowgoyfs. They might have some answers in that can handle it, like Fatal Push and things, but then they have to go through hoops for that a little bit more, and then the Fatal Pushes aren't being pointed at your Bowmasters. But again, why do we only have 3 Bowmasters? The card is really good. It just feels like I would start with more copies of my best cards. And I understand what this deck is trying to do. It's trying to go a little bit bigger than some of the Tempo-y style decks. But I think part of the problem with that is we don't go big enough to beat the other control decks. And I think the other control decks just smash us unless we can cheese them with a Life from the Loam strategy, which is what happened. Also, we don't have a very good proactive game plan at all. So the only thing that kind of impacts the board really early is Tamiyo, which isn't really impacting the board. It's just giving us cards. So even though it's like a 1-drop, it's more of impacting our hand than it is the board. Obviously, we can turn it into a Planeswalk and then things change. And then Bowmasters is like an okay game object for like pressuring, but not like incredible. It's more there to punish certain playstyles rather than, and maybe pick off little guys rather than just being like a big threat. So we don't really have much threat going on. Now we've got this Kaito. We don't have that many creatures to support it, so we're going to have to hardcast it sometimes. Like, yeah, if we get to bounce our Baleful Strix, that's going to look sweet. And we can certainly line up lots of sweet plays, but how often with these numbers of cards are we ever going to line up those sweet plays? In my opinion, not very often. Going back to talking about being proactive, in that last round, we played against the Bant Beans deck. It is technically 5 colour, but it's only really playing Bant spells as a general rule. It might have some Pyroblast in the sideboard, actually. I think that's the only thing it does have. And that deck has a really proactive game plan. They play Failure on 2, and then they curve it into the Riddler guy, and then all of a sudden they've got 6 power in play, and they've drawn extra cards. And that's all at the end of turn 3. That's a really powerful and strong proactive game plan. We don't have that. You know, the most proactive thing we can do is Tamiyo and maybe turn it into a Planeswalker. Possibly get a Kaito going turn 3, but that requires us to draw our 1 of Kaito and then also have one of our 4 of... Well, I guess we have 6 creatures that can trigger it if we were okay bouncing a Tamiyo. And that just doesn't seem that coherent to me. I think the Bant Beans deck is the best control deck. And the stats also say that it is the best control deck in terms of how often it's winning and converting from its meta share into top 8s. So I think that deck is actually where I would want to be playing control. And it feels hard to play a control that looks like this when that Bant Beans deck exists, because we're going to struggle to beat that deck, I would imagine. Also, something that is kind of wild to me is we don't have Thoughtseize. It's possibly the best black card in Legacy. It is real good, and is one of the main draws of playing black in Legacy, in my opinion right now, is to be able to play Thoughtseize. And just not having that seems just odd. I don't know why we don't have access to Thoughtseize. I know in like previous iterations of like Bug Beansy stuff there was Thoughtseize, and there was always this tension of, okay, I want all these cool spells, but then don't trigger Beanstalk. But this deck isn't a Beanstalk deck, so you can just play all those good spells. So yeah, I'm just not really sure what we're supposed to be doing with this deck that much. I'm obviously going to look forward to watching Bosch and Roll play out on his channel at some point. He loves playing these sorts of decks, and he's much better at playing these sorts of decks than I am as well. So it'd be nice to see how he finds this deck and what his critiques are, because this is much more up his alley in terms of things. But I think we just got a little bit too lost in the sauce of some of these numbers, in my opinion, and also just not playing more copies of our best cards. Right, I hope you enjoyed this one. Please remember to like and subscribe. It's a bit of a sad way to finish the year out, but we've got some amazing content coming up as early as tomorrow. You're going to really enjoy. So make sure you like and subscribe and stick around. And next year is going to be a banger. So thank you for watching. Thank you for watching all year, in fact. And goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.